You can use these little stitched elements right across my workshops, really. Maybe not through Tyvek, but a lot of my workshops kind of overlap with each other, and you can take bits from one and add bits to another. So do think about that while you're working through the different workshops, and I'll try and remind you. So little separate elements can be very useful. As I pointed out before, these little hairs running around the base of one of my silk bowls are quite fun. And these, as I pointed out earlier in this workshop, were made on water soluble, dissolved, and then stuck with Solufleece glue onto the silk bowl. So I'll be talking about this again in the silk paper workshop. I've got a whole range of these little bowls. Hairs are very popular on loop head because we have lots of them in the fields, and I have to try and stop my dogs from chasing them. Always a joy. So little elements can be very useful. So what use would there be for a little element that you'd printed onto Solufleece and then stitched and then dissolved? What would you do with it next? Let me show you. The workshop was a new starting point, and we were using all the torn papers, and we were using printing blocks to decorate the printed papers, and Morag chose this little feather design, some of which she stitched around and some she left printed. She then used the little feather printing block to print onto the water soluble, which she then machine stitched. This is the print stitched with some rather lovely metallic threads. These lovely little separate stitched elements were then added to the piece of paper, or the layers of paper, that had already been printed with the feather design, and some had also been stitched around the feather design. And then we had the extra element of adding these lovely stitched pieces. It works really, really well. I was very pleased with this piece of work, and so was Morag. It now hangs in her new house. Beautiful colour combinations, but it's the layers of the print, the stitched print, and then the extra elements that work so well. So do think of ways that you can use little separate stitched elements. I have various t-shirts, which I love. They're great for teaching. They're nice and cool. And with me pulling them down over my tummy all the time, they get little holes in. So what I do, rather than just patching the holes, is I actually stitch the holes together. Then I decorate the hole with a little piece of lace flower that I stitched with water soluble. And then I stitch that onto the t-shirt, and it looks a little bit more decorative than just a stitched hole. Should you be interested. So there's lots of ways of using these elements. So have a go, see what you fancy doing.